I got my life together after playing this particular game, and I'm going to be telling you the story of how it all happened. Okay, I know how crazy this sounds on the surface, but hear me out. You're only thinking that because you've never played Stardew Valley in your entire life. To be fair, this is also one of my favorite games of all time, and this was also the first ever game that I ended up purchasing on multiple platforms. So I might be biased. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Stardew Valley and just how it changed my entire life. What is Stardew Valley? I've had a lot of trouble trying to answer this particular question. To be fair, this is one of my favorite games. I've played it for a long time. I've spent countless hours playing this game, and it's difficult to answer this particular question without any bias. I mean, sure, you could call it an indie farming RPG, but that barely scratches the surface of what this game truly is. In short, this game lets you farm, mine, socialize with other beings to the point where you can marry them eventually, fish, and even dumpster dive, which is the most important part. But however, I think the coolest part about Stardew Valley is that it was made by a single person. The entire thing, the art, animation, the music, the coding was all done by one really cool dude who's taken the name Concern. This particular game was actually inspired by an earlier game which had similar mechanics called Harvest Moon, and it actually started as a project to see if he would get better at coding itself, but it eventually evolved into so much more. So the game begins with the main character, which is you, receiving a letter from the dying grandfather. And the game itself begins with the character receiving a letter from his dying grandfather. This man's actually working a soul-crushing 9 to 5, and he's told not to open that letter unless he actually wants a break. And it turns out that his grandfather has gifted him an entire farm in this cute little valley called, I forget the town's name, Pelican Town, I think. He escapes his soul-crushing 9 to 5, and from there the game essentially revolves around planting crops and trying to bring the community center back. Now, there are 4 seasons in the game, and each season has a particular set of crops that you can plant and harvest towards the end of the game. Now, there are 4 seasons in the game, and it's a constant cycle, and each season has particular crops that you can grow. Obviously, you can't grow anything in winter, and we'll get to that eventually. But the point is, there's a huge variety of things that you can do, and you can mix and match as well. You can grow trees, you can attach tappers to them, and you can get syrup. You can nurture bee farms, and you can actually plant flowers around the bee farms to make special kinds of honey. And you can also plant opium to make really cool flowers. The other thing you can do is you can rear animals, use their products to make a bunch of other products. You can sell the eggs and milk that you get from rearing animals, or you could actually process them, make them into cheese and mayonnaise and so on and so forth. In short, there's an infinite number of ways to play the game. You don't really have to farm if you don't want to. You can just focus on killing monsters as well as fishing if that's what you're really into. So basically there's no blueprint to play the game. You can play any way you want. It's almost like life in a certain way. And that's an important thing that we're going to get back to later. However, as you play the game, you start to realize that a little bit of planning, research, and preparation can go a really long way. And that is actually what started me on this deep, dark path of min-maxing. Now, for those of you who don't know what min-maxing is, allow me to digress for a little bit while I explain. It's this concept that originated in role-playing games. Basically, any game where you can level up, improve your stats and your skills, there's this possibility of min-maxing in that particular game. The idea behind min-maxing is to maximize the desired stats, skills, or abilities while you minimize the undesirable stats, skills, or abilities. So you maximize what's good for you while you minimize what's bad. And this is actually kind of controversial in the game community itself. In role-playing games, it's possible to min-max your character to have the best damage, most health, You have a wide way of doing things, but the developers aren't very happy about this as it forces the players into these little cubicles. Now, with Stardew Valley in particular, the only way that you can min-max is to maximize your ability to earn money, and that's what I did. Now, the irony is that ConcernedApe actually started this game as a way to tell people to get away from the whole rat race, and it's not all about the money. And of course, you can't miss the irony that people are doing the exact same thing in his game. But at the end of the day, it's a game and anyone can play it in their own way and they can take their own lessons from it. And it's actually what min-maxing in the game that led me to my next revelation. Right? The idea was I would min-max my ability to get $1 million and just like start to chill and play the game, but that's not really what happened because I just ended up enjoying the game way too much just playing it. What I did initially was I spent a great deal of time and energy on researching. I started taking notes. I had this entire system mapped out. At that particular time, I was actually working a full-time job as well. So the amount of time that I had that I could dedicate to Stardew Valley was limited. And I wanted to progress a lot in the least amount of time. And that's why min-maxing kind of worked for me. And in the midst of all of this, the amount of preparation and the notes that I was taking, I was struck. I realized that I could spend the same amount of energy, time and preparation that I was putting into Stardew Valley into my life as well, to research, understand, plan and prep and actually execute all of the plans that I had made. Now at that particular time, I had ended up with an entire routine of what to do, not just season wise but almost on a daily basis. I had an algorithm on how to play the game and I realized obviously that if I had put so much energy into creating an algorithm for a game, I could do the same thing with my life. And that's, to be honest, that is actually where my productivity journey began. I slowly took all the lessons and effort that I put into Stardew Valley and I started investing it into my life. I started researching certain topics and how to improve certain skills, and slowly my life started to change. I know it sounds really stupid in retrospect, but this is actually what happened. I started playing a game, I sunk a great deal of time, energy and effort into the game, and then I realized that I could do the exact same thing for my life, and I did it and my life changed. Of course, this does mean that I don't play Stardew Valley as much as I did before. Unfortunately, the goal is I end up buying this really nice farm and I play Stardew Valley in my farmhouse, which is really kind of meta if you think about it. And I'm all about that meme life, so just think about the memes. Playing a farm while in a farm after doing my farm work. I think I let memes decide my life a little too much. My sense of humor is also really messed up because of all the memes. Basically, that's the entire story of how I turned my life around by playing a simple game. Thank you for watching. I will see you again in the next video, and until next time, peace, 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 peace. Bye-bye.